Hey everybody, welcome to this podcast. My name is Marcos, and why would you even listen to me? I mean, we're going to talk about Corona like everybody else. So, what is so interesting? Well, it turns out that I live in France, and so I've been looking at the news, and I said, hey, I was supposed to actually look at the Joker right now, and for some unexplained reason, I had this revelation. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna talk about podcasts, and I'm gonna do one, and it's been months, and anyways, I said, you know what? All these fellow Americans are gonna have a really hard time, and you guys, for the ones in California and other states, are having already a hard time. Why not make a podcast about what's really happening in Europe? Like, I know the news tells you what's going on here, but it's not the same of having actually someone living. Like, I'm living here, I'm like stuck here, and I'm actually seeing every day what's happening. So I thought maybe my feedback or my input on the situation will be different from the ones from the news because you're actually listening to someone who's actually living it. So, very shortly about me, I'm an independent film director, but no one cares. I lived in the States for several years. I'm not American, I'm Swiss. My native language is French, Spanish, and I learned English, believe it or not. And what I think makes this podcast interesting is that because I embrace the American culture in many ways, like you guys get me, if you feel the flow I'm saying. I also was born in Switzerland with the European way, the safe way. We think we're not like Americans. We take our time. So I'm the mix of both, basically. And I think it's pretty interesting, especially for this kind of situation. So, without further ado, I'm going to try to keep it short. It's going to be hard. This is the first one. It's going to be 10 minutes. And guys, I promise the image will be way better because this is shitty. It's unbelievable. How can I even do this? But I just wanted to straight up a few things. And as days are going, I'll try to post regularly these podcasts so you can listen to me if you're interested or not. Well, it's up to you. And that's pretty much it. So let's start with the first thing. First of all, let's stop with the virus. The virus flies in the air. The virus flies in the air. No, it doesn't fly. Okay, let's stop with this bullshit. Okay, it's nonsense. The virus does not float in the air. Yes, it goes through the air when you talk and you spit, right? Because when we talk, there's little spits that goes out, and during that time of travel, the virus goes through the air to the floor, which is approximately 1 meter, which is in feet, 3 feet, I believe. Now, the safe zone, they say 1 meter. Bullshit. Officially, if you really want to be efficient, here's a good one. It should be 2 meters if you really want to be safe. Like 1 meter is safe, 2 meters is ideal. Now, hey, Google, how much is 2 meters in feet?
2 meters equals 6 feet 6.74 inches. To convert from meters to
Okay, I don't need that information. Thank you, Google. Jesus Christ. I'm not asking for a... Stop, Google. Just stop, okay? Okay, let's cut apples in two. How much is 1.5 meters in feet? Google. Or should I say the other way around, right? Hey, Google, how much is 1.5 meters in feet?
1.5 meters equal 4 feet 11.05.
Okay, so just keep 4 feet away, okay? Google, shut up, okay? Hey, Google, stop. Hey, Google, stop. This is technology. You're always talking and talking. You're just asking for a simple question, not extra details. So, 4 feet. So you know the distance, okay? So let's get straight out. Now let's talk about what's happening. If you look at the numbers in Europe, you'll be surprised that from one country to another, they're all stick together. In one, there's like 10,000 people contaminated with hundreds of deaths, and in the other, barely some people dead. Like if you take Switzerland, for instance, I believe the number... Oh, shoot, I forgot to pull the numbers. Kind of clear. So we see it in France, they passed the 10,000 people. Jesus, this is really a bad... Is there someone capable of doing a good map? I mean, really, all these maps are really not... There we go. So in Switzerland, we have more than 4,000 contaminated and 43 dead. Now, if you take France, for instance, it has 12,000 people, so it's like 3 times more. They don't have 3 times more dead, because 43 times 3 is like 120, 130, and they have like 450. So how do you explain? Because you need to understand, Europe is like, what, half of the United States, maybe? Like, the center part is half of the United States? I mean, literally, just so you know, the outbreak happened in the Italian part that is literally driving from my house 2 hours from here. It's like 100 miles. That's it. I'm nearly next to the outburst, okay? And I'm, well, fortunately still alive. Now, here's the thing. Why is one country more dying than others? And I have the answer, because I've been following the news, and I've been seeing with my eyes what's really happening here. So... And this could actually help you and maybe save some people, hopefully. The first one is this thing is extremely contagious, and it kills principally old people. And I know you know that, but here's the thing. The Swiss government was smart enough to insist that once everybody gets confined, and we're not even confined in Switzerland. That's the worst part. You can go out in Switzerland. In France, you can, and yet there's way more dead in France than in Switzerland. They were like, please, people, don't go out. And old people, especially old people, are the ones who are going to, die, because you have, like, I think 80 to 90% chances of 80 or 90% of dead people are like the old people, okay? That might explain why Italy also has a lot of dead, because so, by the way, a lot of Italians are old people. Like, in their culture, I think 1/4 is old, elderly people, so that might explain also why they have so many deads. But anyways, to come back to numbers, the Swiss government was very smart to tell people, like, look, schools are closed. Parents, please do not send your kids with your grandparents. That's condemning them to death. It sounds dumb what I said, but that's key. Having the Swiss government insist on not having the parents leave their child, because now we're not working. Well, some are working remotely, and others, and the reflex is you just take your kids to grandparents if you don't have a school. Don't do that. That's the one thing you should not do that, because the kids are the most contagious, and the old elderly are the one who dies. And I noticed that in Europe it was all about old people and protect yourself, but they never mentioned that key point, and I think it's really key. It makes a difference. It might explain part of the numbers. It's obviously not that. I mean, there's difference of equipment and technology between Swiss and France. I mean, it's like you compare Mexico and United States. I know it sounds harsh, but that's exactly the situation. I mean, I'm a Swiss citizen living in France. Why do you think I live out of my country? Because it's cheaper, okay? It's like basically you're an American that lives in Mexico, but you work in America, but you pay rent in Mexico. So that's the package deal there's between Switzerland and France. Switzerland is very rich. People make like 2 or 3 times more hourly wage. And so the Swiss have this privilege, like the French can work in their country. In exchange, we can live in their country and pay taxes back to our country. And that's what I do. And that's what a lot of us does. So here's the European nonsense. Let's jump to it. And one of the nonsense, I believe, it's unbelievable. I mean, first of all, they closed the borders. Oh, that what a joke. We're closing the borders. No one is going to enter. Really? Are you going to close the borders? Really? So how can you explain to me that today I was riding my bicycle and was literally no border patrol? Well, no French border patrol, like, because I'm between Switzerland and France. So the Swiss were there. They were patrolling. They were controlling, yeah. But the French were not there. In fact, worse, and this is true, I found the French border patrol at the bakery, 300, a few minutes after the border, buying croissants. Okay, I'm not a specialist, it's not my job, but I saw there were 2 of them, so I assumed that one could go buy the baguette or whatever he wants for the other that is at the border, checking cars coming in. Jesus, is that so complicated? Are you guys so lazy in France? I know it's criticism what I'm saying, but it's true. I mean, it's the only country in Europe that you have that working hours are 34 hours. I mean, this is ridiculous. And in this situation, everything is closed. So come on, guys, for the nation, do it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and if you don't believe me, actually look at this video. I actually filmed this today. Ladies and gentlemen, I just entered France in a situation of crisis, where every people, officially, now for a week, well, since last Monday, and we're Friday, so for 5 days I've been checking. And I'm in France, and there's no checkup. No one gives a shit. That's the truth. Oh, and see that car plate? It has like that blue thing with an eye on it. That means that car comes from Italy. I just realized that right now as I watch the footage. Unbelievable. How did that car come in from Italy to France if they're checking the borders? Oh, that's right. There's no border patrol, so no one cares. And by the way, they closed the borders, supposedly to everybody. Few exceptions. And that's the big joke. A few exceptions. We're going to talk about that. But they closed the border to protect people, right? That's what we do that for. And, well, the first day, nothing was closed at all. The second either. The third either. So between the moment when the government announced they were closing borders and it actually happened, it took 3 days. This is unacceptable. You cannot wait 3 days. It's like you have an invasion. Oh, we're to war. Oh, let's just wait 2-3 days. Oh, man. Well, anyways, they put some conditions. Now, remember, the outbreak happened in Italy in a specific area that is 1 hour or half an hour from the Swiss border, okay? That's actually an hour and a half from my house, and if I go to the exact location in Italy, assuming I was not stopped at the border, it would take me 2 hours approximately. Well, when the outbreak happened, the government said, we're closing the border, we're not letting Italians out, and Swiss were like, yeah, we're not letting Italians contaminated come in. Really? Really? Well, here's the fun part. Turns out that no Italians can work in Switzerland except the ones who are actually employed in Switzerland that work in Switzerland, exactly like I do. Like, I'm a Swiss guy that lives in France, but I work in my own country, so I cross the border. But there's also a lot of French that work in Switzerland. Well, same thing with Italy. Well, it turns out that they did let all the working Italians go to Switzerland when they had closed the border. That was the exception. Guys, we're talking about 61,000 people per day crossing the border. There is actually 61,000 workers, Italians, going to Switzerland. So you're not closing the border. Don't say that. Jesus, I cannot believe that. That's irresponsible. It's unconscious. It's stupid. Okay, I never heard such a stupidity. Oh, God. So, anyways, that was what I want to say. I'm trying to keep it short because they're 10 minutes. I know you've been listening to me. But if you like, please put your comments. I'll give a few tips about the coronavirus, about contamination. This is very important. So, distance, 4 feet, please, guys. Now, it doesn't go in the air and floats, okay? No, it goes through the hands. So if you're coughing, please have the reflex to cough in your elbow. Like, put your elbow in front of the mouth. Don't put your hand, because you're basically spraying your hand with a virus if you have the virus. And since the virus can be transmitted without even you having the disease, you might actually have it. So I'm just saying, just don't do that, okay? And speaking of the virus can, get in your body through 3 ways: either your mouth, your eyes, or your nose. So when you wear a mask, if you do wear one, just wear, please, on your nose and your mouth, because I've seen all these people wearing it just over the mouth and not the nose because it bothers them. Then it's useless. And if you have glasses, sunglasses, any kind of glasses, just wear those glasses, because so it prevents your eyes from getting spit in the eyes, microspittings, okay? So that's key. Now, in terms of life of this virus, you need to know, this is important, guys. If the virus goes on a piece of paper or cardboard, it will stay alive for 24 hours. We guys touch every day paper, right? At the post office, we print stuff. So just know that 24 hours, guys. So you might just be very careful of the paper. And the second worst one is the metal. So all the door handles and the metal bars, that thing stays alive for 12 hours. So if you know the key points, if you know that in paper it will stay alive long. And if you compare with your hands, it barely stays alive for like 10 minutes in your hands, or so, approximately 10 minutes. It's nothing. But the thing is, we're all constantly, picking our nose, picking our eyes, touching our mouth, sucking it in. I don't know what you guys doing, but the point is, use hand sanitizer if you have, because they're so ridiculous in Europe. They ran out of sanitizer. I actually had masks I guess I'm an American. I had a stock of masks just for the sake of having them. It turns out it was useful, and a few gloves. It's very strange to know. People look at me strangely when I work with my mask, with like some other people have them in town. Because the hospital next to my house, yes, there is one, like 5 minutes walking approximately. They don't have. They ran out of them. The doctors facing this disease, some of them have to reuse the same mask. They don't even have for the patients. Jesus Christ, Europe, you were really not prepared for this, aren't you? The fun part is no European admits it, but we really screwed up. If you look with the other countries, we really screwed this up. But that's going to be for another episode. So right now, I hope that all the information that was here was useful for you. It gives you a little input for what's really happening and how you can protect yourself really efficiently, because the key here is to be efficient in protection. It's like having a car, there's 10,000 airbags. There's 10,000 airbags. Yeah, okay, but, the most likely accident is from facing, so make sure those airbags works. That's kind of the message I'm trying to make go through here. And if you like it, just, thumbs up, whatever it takes. I never done podcasts or YouTube or whatever, so I'm not even sure if someone is going to listen to me to this point. And if you did to this point, I should be the one giving you a thumbs up if I could, because I'm surprised. I'd be surprised. But if you like it, I'll post more videos with more stuff, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching this. See you guys. Oh, press the wrong button. I was trying to press stop, and I was pressing another stop button.